Hey guys, Jill here, aka the Mentor Mom, and today I'm going to be sharing my unpopular opinion about educational toys for toddlers. So, let's get to it. So, today we're going to be talking about educational toys and my unpopular opinion with a lot of parents that they are not educational at all. So when I'm talking educational toys, I'm talking about those push button toys and tablets specifically. I'm not going to name a particular brand, but you know the ones where you have all the different letters on the board and you push the letter and it just says A, or B, B, B over and over. So let me start by saying I get why parents buy them. I probably did many years ago, although there weren't as many available way back then. But I know a lot of times parents are buying them because they want their kids to have an edge in school, right? They don't want them to be behind their peers. We feel like everybody else's kids know their ABCs and their numbers and their shapes and their colors, so I better get on it so that my kid can keep up with the pack. We think that they're going to help our kids learn how to talk, which, newsflash, they don't. And, the marketing and media strategies out there are really pushing that these things are appropriate for this age group. They're trying to sell stuff. But at the core of it, we really want our kids to have a strong educational foundation. And that's why a lot of times we're drawn to those things, is because we really think that it's going to help them down the road. And I'm going to say that they can be helpful, I guess, down the road, the educational push button toys when kids are working on reading, maybe. But when they're toddlers and really young preschoolers, I'm going to say a big thumbs down on that. So let me go into a little bit more detail as to why I don't think that they're really all that educational for toddlers and preschoolers, and I think parents should avoid them. Okay, so young kids learn best through playful experiences that involve all of the senses. The more senses that are involved in an activity, the stronger that learning takes place, because more neural pathways are affected. It's kind of like when they say when you're studying, you should chew gum when you're studying, and then when you take the test, you should chew the same gum, and it just makes it easier for your brain to recall information. So young children, because they're developing all those neural pathways, really benefit from having multi-sensory experiences, hands-on, moving things, visual impact, all of that, all of those different things. So the other thing is that relationship-based learning is where kids learn best. And that's really true for all ages. It's really the foundation for learning. A lot of kids perform better when they have a relationship with their teacher. So relationships are really important in learning. And from a language standpoint, you need to understand that language is a back and forth interaction, right? A lot of times parents will say to me, well, I got that because I want my little one to learn how to talk, or I put this show on TV because she learns a lot of language from it. They don't really learn language from TVs and screens and electronic toys, right? Because there's no back and forth. It's passive. Yes, information is coming in, but it's not the same as having a conversation with a parent or a caretaker, somebody that I have a relationship with, that I'm interested in. Pushing a button that says apple, 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 or showing them a card, apple, 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 doesn't have the same impact as holding an apple and eating an apple while I'm talking with my mom or my dad about that apple. More neural pathways are involved in that. And that apple is also being talked about in the context of a daily routine that the child experiences over and over and over. So there's so many different neural pathways that are being affected during that kind of interaction versus just a push button experience. So they've actually done some interesting research on this kind of, the impact of these kind of toys on learning and language in particular. And they did a study where they gave 3 different groups different types of toys. So one group got battery-operated toys like a baby laptop and things like that. Another group got some traditional toys like puzzles and blocks, and another group got books. And what they found was the participants who had the battery-operated toys, there was a significant decrease in the amount of child and parent verbal interactions with those kinds of toys. So we need to think about that. You know, those kinds of toys don't give an awful lot of opportunity for conversation. I always tell parents, if the toy makes noise, the child doesn't need to. That's why I'm a big fan of toys that don't have buttons and don't have that kind of sound feedback. You know, if I can push my monster truck across the floor and it makes the noise, then why should I have to? If I can set my cow inside the toy barn and it says moo without me having to do it, you know, then what am I learning? I don't have to do any kinds of sounds. I don't have to do these things during play because it's already provided. We're making it almost too easy, okay? So all those bells and whistles on these toys, they get the kids' attention for sure. And parents will say they really like it. Well, yeah, it gets their attention, but it's really detracting from what matters most, which is the ability to play in an open-ended environment, to learn, to try things differently, to problem solve, while getting all sorts of verbal input and interaction with a parent, a caretaker, a peer. Okay, so what kinds of toys should we be providing our kids with? Well, we want to give them toys that foster creativity, you know, paints, crayons, markers, all of that kind of stuff. Pretend play items, you know, like kitchens and baby dolls. I think every kid should have a pretend play kitchen and every kid should have a baby doll. Open-ended toys, like I was mentioning before, you know, it's like kids are always more interested in boxes and cartons and non-traditional toys, or throwing blankets, you know, over the table and making a tent. Those things are fantastic for learning. Just one of the richest types of learning for kids and opportunities for language. So we want toys that are going to encourage the child to manipulate and interact or try to figure something out. It should provide a challenge for them. You know, what challenge is there in just pushing a button and having the same thing happen over and over? There's no mental challenge in that activity at all. When there's only one way to interact with it, opportunities for learning and problem solving just are not there. Okay, they actually did a study on rats in a variety of different environments. They had a non-stimulating environment, an enriched environment, and then they looked at rats in the natural environment, looking at their brain sizes and brain development. Obviously, the ones who were in the sterile environment with little input had very small brains. The ones who were in the enriched environment had bigger, more active brains. The rats that were actually caught and had been out in their natural environment, out in the woods, had the largest brains because they had that natural environment and so many more natural kinds of challenges. So it led to many more neural pathways being developed. So we need to think about that. Where are the opportunities with these toys for them to really, really develop those neural pathways that are going to help them lay the foundation for success later on in life as adults, right? To get to that executive thinking. I'd read a research article many years ago that talked about how play has changed for kids. And they were saying, you know, way, way back in the day, you know, a lot of it was pretend play. We were interacting with our peers more. We were playing lots of these games because it really wasn't about toy, it was about the interaction. Then they started introducing toys, and then they started marketing toys, and it really changed play. And the interesting thing was they started looking at executive thinking skills, which those are the things that we need as adults to be successful in the world. Self-regulation, our memory, all of those kinds of things, knowing how to negotiate. All of those things are super, super important and set the foundation for our success later on in life. So what they found was that I think it was like in the 70s when they did this research that the average child had significant executive functioning and thinking skills already around the age of 6. As toys were introduced and marketed, that the skills and abilities came later and later and later and later. And at the time that they'd done the research, 12-year-olds had about the same executive thinking skills that kids used to have at the age of 5, or the basis for them, which I thought was really quite alarming. But it really, really stresses the importance of play in learning, and really not so much about even the things, okay? So let's talk about the foundations for success later in life, right? So first of all, I want parents to know that creativity and pretend are highly correlated to intelligence, right? Again, because of that open thinking that we're having with those kinds of play interactions. And having interesting and challenging play materials in the homes after the first year is a big predictor of IQ and school achievement in reading and math later on. Okay, so again, we're helping set that foundation for those executive thinking skills, which are things like working memory, mental flexibility or problem solving, and self-control. So there you have it. That is kind of my spiel on electronic push-button educational toys. Not so great for early learners, in my opinion. Not so great for language development. There are lots of other things that we should be providing with our kids outside of those kinds of electronic toys. So I really hope that this has been helpful information. And please know, I'm not trying to be judgy in any way, shape, or form. I just really want you to have the best information when you're making those decisions, because I know you want the best for your kids. And I've been doing this for 20 years, watching toddlers and their families, and working on play and working on language, and being in homes, seeing how they interact with things and how they light up with certain activities and other ones they shut down. When I've seen them electronic toys, they shut down, they move away, they stop interacting, they stop talking. So having said that, I thought it might be helpful for me to share some of the favorite toys that I've used over the years, and encourage parents to purchase for their kids when we're working on language specifically. But they're great for all sorts of things, you know, developing those thinking skills for kids. So I put together a free webinar where I'm going to go over several categories of toys, as well as some suggestions on how to use them to work on language. And you're also going to get, if you join me in this webinar, a downloadable PDF that has kind of a toy shopping list with the links to Amazon. And no, I'm not an Amazon affiliate, so I get no kickback from this. It's just the easiest place to be able to send people to look at some of these toys. So anyhow, you can sign up for the webinar below. I've got the link down below. So as always, thank you so much for your love and support. If you have any questions or have any suggestions for a video topic, make sure that you contact me. That information is below. And to get weekly tips sent to your email, sign up for my newsletter. So thanks again, and until next time.